Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Good evening, my dear friends, brothers and sisters. Thank you once again, for joining us for our bi-weekly guided meditation and Dharma talk. Today is April 17th, 2023, and I am sitting here at the Blue Lotus Meditation and Mindfulness Center. And I'm so glad to see you all here with us tonight, or perhaps you're maybe viewing this on the replay. So thank you very much. I appreciate you spending some of your valuable and precious time with us this evening, or this afternoon or morning, again, depending on when you choose or available to watch this. I'm grateful that you're here, nonetheless. So tonight's topic is the Dharma and terminal illness. Life, part of the cycle of life, is always going to be death. And some of us will face death. Well, we will all face death, but some of us may face it a little bit more critically, a little bit more painfully. And so, or a little bit more aware of our particular circumstance. And so I thought tonight would be a mindful time to kind of address how does the Dharma address this? What mindsets may we adopt when we're faced with such a humbling circumstance and potentially painful as well? And so, before we begin, let's start with our nice guided meditation. And this evening we're going to enjoy a nice body scan meditation. So go ahead and get yourself into that comfortable position. Maybe you choose to sit up, or maybe you choose to lay down on your back. Whatever's comfortable for you is always the perfect way. And breathe in. Pause. And slowly exhale, either through your mouth or through your nostrils. And breathe in. Pause. And slowly exhale. Softening your shoulders as you exhale. Adjusting your body and any fine adjustments that you need to make. And allowing that wonderful half smile to simply just rest on your face as well. And breathe in. Pause. And slowly exhale. And softening your belly as well. Now go ahead and bring your attention to your head. Maybe think about your hair, the color of your hair, the texture of your hair, maybe the length of your hair. Think about its purpose, its actual purpose, protecting your scalp, soft skin from maybe direct rays of the sun, keeping your body warm in a cold environment. Your hair has a specific purpose, and we can honor that as well. Go ahead and bring your attention down to your forehead, maybe noticing or in your mind's eye, maybe the shape of your forehead. Any freckles or moles you may have, or maybe there's a little scar. Just noticing and bringing attention to your forehead, your eyebrows as well. Go ahead and now move down to your eyes. And think about your eyes. How they allow you to explore the world you're in, that you are vitally a part of. All the wonderful things that you can see with your eyes. Read books or magazines. Cooking recipes, perhaps. Knitting or sewing. Maybe think about the colors of your eyes. Brown or blue or green or whatever color. We can bring attention to our ears next. And how our ears allow us to also be a part of this world. They allow us to hear communications from others, pleasant sounds, or even alarms. Sounds of birds chirping, or even a car or a truck passing by. Even the gentle wind as it blows through the trees and rustles leaves. And think about our nose and its function and purpose as well. The shape of your nose. All the wonderful smells that it picks up, or even the not so pleasant smells. Maybe you wear glasses and your nose helps hold up your glasses to help your eyes see. And think about our mouth and our lips, our teeth, our tongue. How important each one of those little features are in communicating or even nurturing our bodies, or breathing in oxygen to keep us alive. Think of all the pleasant tastes, the unpleasant tastes, the words you say. Maybe think about our jaw and our necks. And how our spine begins at our neck. And down to our shoulders. Maybe we feel a little bit of tension in our shoulders. And just bring awareness to it. Don't try to fight it or push it away. Just bring awareness to it. And as you breathe naturally, maybe that tension will start to dissipate away. Move down to our arms, our biceps and triceps, our elbows, our forearms and wrists, our palms, and our fingers, our fingernails. Think about all the little characteristics that we may find on our arms. We may have rough skin around our elbows and palms, or maybe we have soft, supple skin. Doesn't matter. You have skin, and that's such an important protective layer that we all have. Allows us to touch and to feel. Another way to communicate with each other and ourselves. Another way to explore and incorporate ourselves with the world, with our skin. Maybe we bring ourselves down or bring ourselves back into think about our spines. Bringing that awareness back to the length of that spinal column. All of our nerves that begin at the base of our skull and neck and proceed to just touch every part of our bodies, our nervous system. Our spine allows us to walk upright. Think about our rib cage. Maybe you can feel your rib cage moving up and down with each breath that you take in and go back down as you exhale. How our ribs protect vital organs as well. Our heart and our lungs. Heart that pumps blood all throughout our body, keeping us alive, as well as lungs. Breathing in all that oxygen we need to stay alive as well. And on our exhales, letting and releasing carbon dioxide that we don't need. Moving down to our hips, as maybe you're sitting in your chair, you can feel a little bit of pressure. Just that force of sitting down. It's not uncomfortable. And if it is, you're certainly invited to adjust. And think about our thighs and our knees. Our calves and our shins. Ankles. Your heel and the arch of your foot. And your toes. How important they are, right? our entire legs. Help us walk and move from one location to another. Maybe you like to jog or mindfully walk in a beautiful park. Now we can bring our attention to our thoughts. Just bringing awareness to any thoughts that come to mind without judgment. Not forcing any thought to stay or forcing a thought to stay away. Just letting it be. Welcome it in, whatever the thought that is. Let it stay for a moment or two. And then let it go. Just like a cloud in the sky. They maintain a puffy shape for a little bit, but then they dissipate. Something else takes its place. And breathe in. Pause. Slowly exhale. Just take a few more breaths on your own. And when you're ready, go ahead and just open your eyes, looking around you, reorientating yourself back to your surroundings. Maybe adjusting your position if you like. Wonderful. Body scans are important for us in that they allow us to bring awareness to maybe any discomfort or feelings or sensations that we may be experiencing just in that moment, maybe short-term or long-term. Maybe you have a pulled muscle in your back that's sitting there, letting you know that there's a little bit of discomfort, or maybe it's a gentle breeze if you're sitting outside. Allows us to appreciate our bodies as well, the functions of each one of our individual parts, fingers and toes, our lips, maybe a breast, right? Our teeth or our eyes. Everything has a purpose and a function. But everything that has a purpose and function, just like a thought, comes and goes. Everything is impermanent. Constant state of change. Even if it's really small amount of change. And that kind of brings us to where we are for our Dharma talk this evening on terminal illness. Most of us don't think about our own end of life unless there's a serious circumstance. Maybe you avoid an accident and you think of how life-altering it could have been. Or sometimes we just get bad news, or news that we are unexpecting from a doctor's office. We find out that it's life-changing in ways that we don't expect. And Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, before he became the Buddha today, the figure that we know of today, in his quest for understanding, and at first recall that he was a wealthy prince, right? His father was the king of a country in India and Nepal today, and Siddhartha was very well shielded, protected from the outside world, but he knew that there was something afoot, something that he wanted to explore more. And so on several occasions, he escaped with his attendant. He escaped to walk around and look around. And he noticed what now we call the four signs, right? First was old age, a sick individual, a cremation or a funeral procession that was going on, and then a monk. And these were all experiences and sights that he did not witness inside the palace walls. And so we're really going to just kind of talk about the sick individual that he saw, as well as the funeral procession that he experienced, because those are really going to be important for our talk tonight on terminal illness and the Dharma. So when we think about the Four Noble Truths, we know that there is suffering in this world, and that's all that Buddhism deals with, right? Suffering and the cessation of suffering. And so what does the Buddha and the Dharma have to say about that? Well, the body and the mind are not really considered to be separate, because they are independently existing entities and not thought to exist separately. Right? Everything is intertwined and casually linked. And again, kind of like what I mentioned, everything is constantly changing, right? In a constant state of flux. And this means that the transitoriness and changes are basic features of Buddhist teachings, right? Our bodies are always changing, and maybe not always in ways that we would like to see. We all will grow old. We will all age. We start to get those wrinkles, right? Maybe our skin starts to sag a little bit, right, as we get older. It happens. It's a natural part of life. My skin is not the same as it was when I was 5 years old or 15 years old. My body's not the same as when I was 5 or 15 or 25. And so all of this transitoriness, that constant state of motion in our bodies, is impermanence. And it's really one of the basic, again, it's basic to the fundamental teachings of Buddhism. And if we consider what Siddhartha or the Buddha saw on his excursions out, with a sick or an old person, right? In the funeral or the cremation, our body teaches us, if we listen, our body teaches us impermanence is everywhere. Right? We may see it a little bit more on an individual, on a smaller time scale with ourselves or with maybe our parents or older relatives, where we see that. But how does that affect terminal illness and our mindsets? Because very often in medical schools, right, incurable diseases, kind of think of them as temporary, right? They're incurable. So somebody who has an incurable disease will, they will die, and we all will. And the doctors may state that, cure has not been found, for a certain disease. And by looking at incurable diseases, death and dying, from just a purely medical perspective, the medical community often may risk losing the sight of an individual, right? Too busy focused on the disease and not on the individual's well-being. And so according to Buddhism, the truth is not going to be found on either extreme. It's always going to be in the middle, right? How do we take care of an individual? We may not be able to find a cure for that physical ailment for a body. So what we can do is focus on the individual's well-being, or your well-being, your mindset. And there are 4 qualities that are defined to perhaps having that peaceful death without worry of what the future may bring, right? So having a peaceful mind, right? How do we develop a peaceful mind? And that's through meditation and mindfulness. Understanding that this is transitory. It's a natural part of life, even though it's not our expectations. And to not suffer. Right? Remember, Buddhism and the Dharma truly revolve around the end of suffering. Because suffering exists, but ceasing that suffering. We talked about the Noble Eightfold Path as well. And the family's acceptance as well. That's another core quality. Family's accepting of it. Very often, we may find family members not accepting. And that doesn't yield or produce that peacefulness that this person truly needs. That non-acceptance. And then being with others, right? So that the person who is ill doesn't pass alone. Being in the company of others. That helps bring about that peace of mind. So, terminally ill patients can learn to use some of our teachings in the Dharma, to understand their consciousness. It's just a guest dwelling in a certain home. It just happens to be our bodies in this instance. Right? Remember, there's birth, there's life, there's death, and then there's rebirth. Right? The whole cycle of samsara, impermanence. When we are faced with a terminal illness, we always think of fighting. I can beat this. Trying to sometimes beat the impossible, right? Or achieve the impossible. Or trying to control your body while it's dying. Sometimes that may work. not to say to lose, not take appropriate measures to heal your body. That's very important as well. But remembering that your spirit, your consciousness will always be there, whether it's in this form, a human form, or something else. But we can always control our minds, our actions in our minds, our thoughts. Can't always control our bodily actions, but we can always control the way we think and our responses. Can't always control our bodies. And so that's where the mindfulness and the meditation comes in. Developing that awareness that I am at peace. I'm not suffering. And remembering that, again, we're in that cycle of birth and life and everything that happens during our lives. And then reaching our end stage of death. And then rebirth. But as we maybe face those tough moments, whether it's ourselves or perhaps someone else, we always need to express compassion and empathy. That's so vital. Compassion and empathy towards ourselves. And that's why we talked about we performed that body scan in the beginning, our guided meditation. Realizing that sometimes our body hurts. And knowing that we are always doing the best we can with what we have. So compassion towards ourselves and others in not only terminally ill experiences or circumstances, but in all joyful situations too. Maybe somebody is having a bad day. That's why we always interact with ourselves and others with compassion, because we may not always be aware of what someone else is going through. That helps give that peace of mind. Not rushing to judgment for ourselves or for others. So as you go forward through your days and your weeks and your years, share kindness and compassion and empathy towards one another and yourselves. So our next Dharma talk on May 1st, and we will be talking about the 3 ages of Buddhism. There's 3 of them. We happen to be in the 3rd age at this time, and we'll talk about each one of them a little bit more in-depthly on May 1st. Also, don't forget about our weekly Sanghas, our Healing Sangha, our Veteran Sangha, New Beginning Sangha, Rainbow Sangha, Welcoming Sangha, and certainly our Teen Sangha. All of our events are always free. It's how we share and support you, our brothers and sisters, on our journey. That's how we support you. And if you do find our Dharma talks, our guided meditations, and all of our other resources useful and helpful, please feel free to like and subscribe. And I want to again say thank you for coming this evening, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care, my friend.